Welcome to No Straight Lines, the podcast that gets real about performance, resilience, and what it really takes to grow, lead, and thrive. This isn't just about the wins, it's about the work, the grit, the setbacks, and the strength to keep going when things go wrong. I'm Lawrence Windmill, your host, an entrepreneur, and someone who's learned resilience through facing some of life's toughest moments. Each week I sit down with leaders from the world of business, sport, entertainment and the community to unpack the moments that shaped them, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Because success, it's never a straight line. This is No Straight Lines, stories of the unbreakable. Martyn Madden, welcome to No Straight Lines. Thanks for coming along to see us this afternoon, Martyn. No Straight Lines, it's all about stories of the unbreakable. Now, I've done some research and had a look at your bio, which is fascinating to say the least. And here we are in this Cardiff studio. And as you and I were just chatting, this is your old backyard. This is where you grew up, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Grangetown boy through and through. Brought up in the other side of Grangetown, on the other side of the river. It's called in Mardy Street where I was growing up first, and then moved across onto the other side. They call it middle of Grangetown, which is Paddock Street.
Yeah.
And I've obviously lived there for the last, I was there for 20 odd years.
And that's when I suppose you found rugby.
I was always talented at rugby as a young kid. I went to a school in Grangetown called St. Patrick's, which is the school teacher at the time. He used to play for the Old Italians. His name was Paul Catras.
Right.
He seen some talent in me. He said to me at the time, he said, you are a player receptionist. I think you're a good all-round player. But I think there's one sport that suits you would be rugby. So I grasped the chance, and he seen the chance in me because I was quick, I was thinner, and I had the ability to play.
How old were you then?
I started off, I was 8 years old, and obviously nurtured me through to 9s, 10s, and then 11s. He was the Cardiff School's coach at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously went for the trials. And obviously he said I was a good player. I got through the trials, and I started off at number 10 at under 11s.
I saw a Wales Online article which looked at your transition from sport into business. And I saw a photograph of you with a load of other young boys. And there you were. I didn't recognise you. Obviously, you're a kid. Yeah. But you were like that. And you played 10. That was your position, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was playing 10 because he said I had good hands and I was quick. I was quick off the mark. So if you look back now and I look back at then, you look at the Phil Bennetts and the Barry Jones, they're all quick hands and quick off the mark. So I think that's the talent he's seen with me. And obviously, I started putting on a bit of weight then. Next year onwards, but didn't have the speed ability to play 10.
Okay.
Then he obviously said to me, if you go to the front row, back row, I played number 8. So the second season at Cardiff Schools, I played number 8.
Wow.
I was explosive ball carrier, and he knew I was quick off the back, enough of a back row player.
Yeah.
And that was where it started from then. He started to believe in me that I had a talent, and I went on from Cardiff Schools and I played for East Wales Schools under 11s.
Okay.
Which we played West Wales Schools, which was on the Merlion Stadium in 1984. So it was a fantastic day.
What an experience!
Yeah, it was a curtain raiser before the Wales and England game.
Oh.
So it was a good experience for me. But at the time, Wales and England, you didn't really think of it, but now it's an honour.
Absolutely, 100% it was. I was speaking to a good friend of yours, in fact, and a former player who you played with for many years, Neil Boubier. And apparently you'd sent him some sort of YouTube clip or something of you at number 8, I think it was, where you ran through an entire team and scored a try. And he's just been telling me about that. Was that same game?
Yeah, it's the same game it was. It was one of the games I played 8, and it was one of the strangest moments. Is that I come off the back of a scrum and just realised that it was a gap. I just burst through the gap, and then I just put a sidestep in, but I show Neil it, and everyone's seen it. It's a hell of a sidestep. I beat the fullback and I went over and scored. I think that was my first side step I ever made, and everyone commented on it.
Well, brilliant. But obviously, as far as your rugby career is concerned, it's changed dramatically. You started off as a kid and you played 10 and you were quick and you were dynamic and you had great hand speed. And then you moved into the back row and you just obviously alluded to that sort of fantastic try that you scored. But then physically, I suppose, what was the change? How did you manage to sort of move up beyond the second row and into the front row? Because I guess that's where you played most of your rugby.
Yeah, well, it's obviously when I grew up in Grangetown, and it's always a famous word everyone used to say to me, "Where do you live, Mads?" I say, "Oh, Grangetown, Paddy Street." And when at the end of Paddy Street was a famous shop called the Clark's Pie Shop.
I know Clark's Pies.
But I used to be out there with the broken pies and the pastries and stuff like that. So obviously, less training but more pie eating. So that's the reason I really put on a bit of weight. And the weight came on probably at the wrong time or the right time.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
How old were you when you started to put on weight?
I started putting weight on when I was 15.
Yeah, okay.
15, because I moved into the front row at 15.
Yeah.
Moved into the tight end at 15, but I was a thin tight end at the time, but put on about 3 or 4 kilos when I was 11 years old. And then obviously started filling up a bit.
Yeah.
Because the pies had to go somewhere along the line.
So in your Cardiff days, again, looking at your bio, you also played for Rugby. Did that come next? Did that come before Pontypool?
Yes, when I came that was when I was 16. So when I finished Cardiff schools under 15s, we went to a situation and we the schools were all disbanded, we all go into our local clubs. And I went to Rugby at the time and we played for Rugby. And Rugby at the time was based up, didn't really have a side, and they had another side called Land Rugby. Oh, yeah. And Land Rugby and Rugby, they sort of converted to a 16s and called it Rugby under 16s.
Yeah.
So we grew up there. It was, like I said, it was a fantastic achievement because some of these boys were not big names or nothing. Yeah. All they wanted to do is play rugby and give it all. And sometimes what you need as a young kid, you need to be around people, which are reality, because you find when you get to 15 and 16, you play in East Wales and West Wales or whatever you work at Wales under 15s.
Yeah.
You send you're big better than the others. And that's the wrong feeling to have. So you sort of come back to reality at 16. Yeah. And Remy was the starting block for me because you had to do the hard work. Yeah. If nothing was for nothing.
Yeah. And was that the launching pad then into senior rugby? And was it Pontypool? Was that your first club?
Yes. Well, from Rugby, So from Rugby then, I played for Cardiff Youth. We had a successful side in Cardiff Youth. We had 2 years of a good side. And that Cardiff Youth side, it was a bit of what you would call it, the city slickers they used to call us, because we would just get a player from Cumbralia come in, we had one from Swansea come in, Ponty they come in, and we sort of had the gravy bowl of what you would call regions at Cardiff Youth, and we successfully won the SO Cup, which is the Welsh Youth Cup. I lost to the semis 1 year and won in the final in 1 year. And we had a great side then.
Good pool of talent.
Good pool of talent, great bit of fun. And I think that's when the youth, we started to gel a bit, because the time when we were playing youth rugby, it was all about the after the game. It was the training part, but after the game, it was the sing-songs and bits and pieces.
It's funny you should say that. A good mate of yours is Phil Steele, isn't it?
Yeah.
The ex-BBC broadcaster. And Phil, as you know, was an ex-player, and he talks about it quite a lot. But he said to me this morning, in fact, when I was speaking to him, we were talking about podcasts, and he said for him, rugby was not just about 80 minutes. For him, it was about the whole day. And that whole day would include the sing-songs, the build-up to the game, the camaraderie, the banter, everything. It was never just about the 80 minutes. It sounds as though yours
Oh yeah, we had like at the moment it was a guy he's obviously done a lot of podcasts. He's with the BBC now, and he played in the youth side, and he was a great player, Mike Bubbins.
Oh, okay.
So Mike Bubbins was the Elvis of the youth side. Yeah. So when we were winning or losing,
Yeah.
Bubbins would come up and sing us an Elvis song. He put the suit on. He had the hair like him. He looked completely like him, and he was singing like him. So
Well, he's
he
on
was
TV now, isn't he, doing it? Yeah.
And he's the Elvis King, we used to call. And when he used to say, when we're down in the dumps, we got the Elvis King.
Yeah.
He never let us down.
Yeah.
He always gives us a sing-along song. And that will build the morale of us at the youth level.
Absolutely. Well, again, you know, from rugby, there's some great stories to be told. I know that you've shared dressing rooms with some fantastic players and some brilliant coaches, and they've obviously got your own story to tell, but listen to other stories as well, which I think is quite unique to rugby. I know that it applies to all sorts of team sports, but rugby in Wales is a goldfish bowl, isn't it? And there's deep connections, and everybody knows each other. And one of the most famous clubs in Wales is Pontypool, or used to be the Pontypool Front Row. So I can understand the connection of you going to somewhere like Pontypool, a great breeding ground for traditional hard men playing in the front row. Was that how this came about?
Well, not really. I left Cardiff Youth and I had an offer for Cardiff Rugby Club. And then the Cardiff Rugby Club at the time, it was a time we were in semi-professional or professional way. It was at that stage. And Cardiff Rugby Club offered me a contract. And the contract wasn't, it's not more about the money. It was where I needed to play. And then at that stage then, before I returned to Pontypool, I met up with a guy called Dave Bishop.
David.
So I knew David from the old Italians time at the time because you know Iltsboy, which is the local club which I grew up from when I played. And Dave gave me an opportunity. He said, "Come up Pontypool Park. It's not the glory place. It's rough and ready, but you'll enjoy it." So I went up there and then at Pontypool, and Pontypool's a different world for me because obviously you look at the Frank Jackers and the 3 years I've who's been there. It was a completely different. Pontypool people were a different animal, and you look at the Bobby Windsors and the boys of Charlie Faulkners and all that. And Dave Bish had a thing at Pontypool. They got the famous grotto, which for 20 years with certain players would go up there. And Bish never went up there because he said he was too good for the grotto. Jock Perkins would say to him, "Bish, grotto." Bish said, "I do my talking on the park." And that was his attitude.
Tough man, wasn't he?
A tough man when it come to it. And that's what he believed in. And when I was at Pontypool, I learned a trade up there. It was all about being you and being yourself and showing what you can do. It's not showing like a superstar. You make yourself a superstar in Pontypool.
I like that. Yeah, Bishop, he played there for years. He played scrum half, didn't he?
Yes.
I don't think he had many caps for Wales. He should have had a lot more, and that's for sure. But I always remember him as being one of the hard men of rugby and a reputation like no other.
Well, that's what I had from him. When I went there, it was all about playing hard and playing and showing people what you can do. Because when you're in Cardiff, you start to hide around a certain player who makes you a player. Pontypool never done that. You make your own self a player.
Interesting.
And when I went there, it was all about Bishop was saying, "You're the black man, you need to do it." And I was always his motto.
And he'd use that vocabulary,
and he would use that. And to me, it was a kicking stone for me to say, he believes in me. He believes in me because he's brought me here and he said, "You can do this." And when I started playing, I started enjoying it. The Pontypool fans started enjoying it. So the morale on myself started to grow as a player. So I was playing front row at the time, and then we had Staff Jones, and it was Windsor were teaching me the scrimmaging, the angles and bits and pieces. It was a huge difference for me going to Cardiff, which when I could rely on a scrum because my flanker would have done most of the work. In Pontypool, you own your own shoulders, you do your own trade. The rest will come.
Brilliant. And I can relate to it. And I think, you won't mind me saying this, that probably spurred on your development, didn't it?
Massively.
At pace.
Massively. Because from that onwards, it grew then. We played against Clethley in the Cup. And Bishop's always said, the big stage is us. So when you're out here, it's the big stage. So you need to show it. So I played against Pontypool. I played against Clethley then, and I had a good game. And that was a starting block when other clubs were starting to look. At that time
How old were you then?
I was 23 at the time.
Okay. I asked for a reason. I'll come back to it because you toured with Wales under-19s, didn't you?
Yes.
So you must have been at Cardiff Rugby at that stage, were you?
Yes.
So that your name was already beginning to register with people.
Yes.
And then I suppose the next part of your development was that move up to Pontypool.
Yes, yeah, because under-19s, and Neil was a year older than me at 19. I was the youngest on the tour. Me and Barry Williams were the youngest two on the tour.
Barry Williams was a hooker?
Yes, we were the two youngest under-19s on the tour. But what you had at the time then, Neil was, we've been mates since Welsh youth days, and we've been great
mates. You're talking about Boobia now.
Yeah, Neil Boobia. I've been great mates since Welsh youth days. And at that time, he had executive talent, which he had a lot of pace, a lot of gas. Backs at that era would have gone to another level.
Yeah.
And he sort of went to another level because the way he played and the way explosive and his gas and his sidestep made him into first-class player before me.
I'm interested in the psychology side of it as well, okay? I'm going to ask you because you raised it. So being, as David Bishop said, he words to the effect that, you know, you're a black man here in Pontypool, or words to that effect, this is where you need to make a statement. What do you think he was saying to you, Martyn?
I just think he was believed in me. I think sometimes you need a little kick to get you where you need to be. It's not a racialist thing. It's all about getting the best out of the player. And he believed that because when I played, he would always protect me. He always looked after me. Yeah. So it's not a person chucking you under the bus.
No.
He'd be the first one there on top of you.
And how did the crowd react? You know, because you are a bit of a cult figure in Llanelli. We'll come back to that in a second. But this new sort of burly prop coming out of Cardiff, quick hands, brilliant feet, suddenly moving from, well, not suddenly, but moving into that sort of big position in Pontypool because they had some legends, didn't they? You mentioned Staff Jones, Bobby Windsor, Charlie Faulkner, the Pontypool front row, etc. How did they in Pontypool, which is very different to Cardiff, how did they react to you sort of suddenly appearing?
I think it was different in a way because you had Frank Jackas who was in the same colour at the time. So it wasn't a bad thing. And me coming there and I started to play, they believed this player could do something. And when I finished the games, after the games, we sat down in a clubhouse. People will come up to me who's been in the club 20 years, 30 years and say, you're something special.
Yeah.
And I believed then, I didn't get the chance.
And Bishop saw that, didn't he?
And Bishop seen that. So it was a massive turning point for me. And when I started playing and the crowds behind me.
Yeah.
And at the time then, it wasn't like in the 60s when it was 20-odd thousand on the Bob Bank.
Yeah.
We had the 8,000s in the Bob Banks at the time, which when the big games came in, and we had a bit of Anglo Welsh at the time. We played a couple of sides and that, and you get your
I think we need to go back to that. Anyway.
Yeah. So we had 6,000 or 8,000 at the time, which then...
It's still decent, isn't it?
It was a good crowd, and the village would come out, and they come from everywhere. You know, it's like a Pontypool. And we started to win. And when we started to win, we started to get recognised and stuff like that. And where I moved on from then on, it was just going to a...
You must have had as well. I'm thinking back now to that team. You must have had Mark Ring playing in that team as well now.
Yeah, Mark came back, coming to the last of the season, because it was 9 was Bish, 10 was Ringo. So they call them the City Slickers in the 9 and 10s. So they controlled the game more than anything else. Ringo, completely different talent.
Clever.
Completely different skill. Another notch above Bish. Bish would take you forward and don't go back. That's what Bish was all about.
Never take a backward step.
Don't take a backward step. Front up, be a man. And if you get knocked out, get back and keep going forward. Wow. And that was Bish through and through.
Sounds like something out of a Rocky film, doesn't it?
Yeah. But you had Mark Ring, were completely different. Who had the gift,
Clever, wasn't he?
the skill, and the vision. One thing about Mark, he'd always put people into space.
Yeah.
And what he'd done, and he can read the game very, very well.
Talented player.
Very talented. In a split second, he can put a chip in, or he's a split second, is a miss one. And that's how good he was. And he made a lot of players good because he put people into space.
And he was another Cardiff. Well, you, Bishop and Ringo, you were all Cardiff boys, weren't you?
Yeah. So he was a St Albans boy as well, Mark Ring as well. So then we moved on from there, because obviously it was a time then Ringo was coaching at West Hartlepool. Yeah. And he went to West Hartlepool at the time and wanted me to go at West Hartlepool. Yeah. West Hartlepool went to liquidation, got sacked, and obviously went down to Penzance.
Well, that's where the Penzance link comes from, isn't it?
Yes.
Hartlepool, they went, And then you had an offer from Cornwall, isn't it?
Yeah, Cornwall, yeah. It was, I had an offer from Clesley first. But
you turned them down.
Yeah, it wasn't the offer I wanted. And
Right.
Ringo said to me, "You're green, you're grass. I think you should come to Penzance."
Well, had Mark Ringer gone to Penzance at that time?
Yeah, as director of rugby.
Right.
And he said to me, "You come down here, you can learn your scrums, you can learn this Cornish rugby. It's all about hard farmers. And then you can go back to Wales and you can probably prove yourself that you can scrimmage."
Was that advice right?
I think it was right at the time, because if I probably played at Clesley, I could have gone either way. Could either gone straight to the top, dropped. But at Penzance, there's nowhere to hide. You had to scrum. You had to hit rucks. You had to hit lineouts.
And you were tight head.
I was tight head down there at the time. So
you must have bulked up by then.
Yeah, I bulked up then. Yeah.
How heavy were you then?
Well, I was at it was 123 kilos.
Wow.
From 118 down. I was carrying a bit of weight when I went to Penzance, but I was carrying it, but playing with it very well. That's what they said.
How long were you there for?
I was there for 10 months.
10 months. But then this is interesting, because you then came back to Wales, tell me if I'm wrong, to Llanelli on loan.
Yes,
Do I
that's
get that right?
Yes.
So you were then involved in some pretty big games at Llanelli, and you ended up playing in a final, I think, at Ashton Gate in Bristol.
Yeah.
Now, you're a prop. You're 120 kilos or whatever you are, or maybe a bit heavier, and something special happened, didn't it?
Yeah, but
what happened?
It started off with, I was at Penzance, and it came to a situation in that it was a prop crisis at Scarlets.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'd spoken to Gareth Jenkins and Nancy Buchanan in the summer, and they offered me a package to go there, but it wasn't it. But obviously, they were monitoring the whole situation down in Penzance.
Yeah.
And when they did monitor the situation, they had a prop crisis, and Sean Gale twisted his knee.
Yeah.
And another guy, Rhys Jones, was injured. So they asked, can they take me on loan? And when they asked me, that was a great opportunity for me, because they said, playing against Newport first game at Straddy, I'd done all right, scored a try. And next game after that, I played another game, come off the bench, done all right. And then the opportunity come then and said, "We're going to pick you for the final."
This is Ebervale then, isn't it?
Ebervale at Ashton Gate. It was the biggest move. We didn't know what to do, what to say, what it is. But the people like Rupert Moons, the Mike Voiles, the Andrew Gibbs, but I knew the Booby already. And it was a different thing. And I didn't think I can do it, because obviously coming from Penzance, we're NAP 2, NAP 3.
Big step up, isn't it?
And I'm playing now into like a premiership of the English League in a cup final. What happened then, it was what it is. I started to play, and all I was worried about was the scrum, because that was my weakness coming from back row to forward. I had to scrum. And that was drilled into me from the kick-off in the change rooms into the kick-off. And all I wanted to do was scrum, because when it came to a situation, you know people are like that. 2 million people watching. There's only one person who out the scrum is you.
Yeah.
But the other 2 million think they can scrummage. Do you understand? So I had to make sure I could scrummage. And it came to an opportunity then that I had then at the time then. The game went, it opened up. And then I just found myself with the ball. And one thing with me when I was a young kid, if I have the ball in a short bit of yard, 10, 15 meters, I exploded straight out of the mat. And that's what happened. Shocked a lot of people. And I just thought, just keep going. I just seen it. Just keep going.
And you did?
And I did.
And you scored a try?
I scored a try from in the corner.
And you won the cup?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And that was the start of Martyn Madden.
I got to tell you that when you first appeared on the scene, I obviously didn't know your backstory. I saw you as a player at Llanelli. And I always remember your playing career as that type of person you just described. Explosive, a decent prop, but explosive. Brilliant hands, great ball carrier. And that leads me on to the next part of the Llanelli story, because when you signed for Llanelli then, and I think, tell me if I'm wrong, I think you made about 160 appearances for Llanelli. I know you've got a lot of admiration for Gareth Jenkins, and we'll talk about him in a second, but it's interesting that I mentioned the ball carrying skills, and it must go back to when you were a young kid playing at 10. But you and Quinnell were used by Jenkins a lot, weren't you, in terms of ball carrying as part of his game plan?
Yeah, we were big carriers when it came to that. Scott was immense when it came to it, because he probably had the hardest job really coming off a scrum, but mine was quite easy. Mine always came off open play, but that was Gareth. He seen potential. He seen the explosives in me, which I can do the first 15 metres. He knew.
And he was explosive.
I can go to the next level. He can push me and this and that. And one thing about Gareth, which he's good at, and he gets into your head. And it might, people think he don't, but he does. But he gets into your head and he drops a little bomb every week or every day.
Such as?
Well, he would say, "Are you good enough?" And you just walk away. And he would put these little things in there, which then triggers it. So you go home, he asks me if I'm good enough. What's he asking me that for? And you ask yourself questions. Is he telling me, am I good enough?
Would you go back and question that the following day or no?
No, wouldn't call it back.
But you would think about it?
You think about it, because that's your coach at the end of the day. You didn't want to challenge him because he was there as a person and as a coach, and when he thinks he knew you, he knew you.
Who's the best coach you ever played under?
Gareth, by far the best coach, motivator. Well, I think without Gareth, Clethley won a Clethley side. Gareth brought the town to the change rooms. That's where he would bring the players out. He would look at players and he would say to them, your mum and dad's watching today, what are you going to do today? Your nan's in a home or whatever it is. He would hit a spot. He would find out everything, information he can, and then he would fire it into the change room. And where he fired it into the change rooms, it would be when we played Leicester, I can remember, and I stick with me in Leicester, I went to Stradley Park. The change room was so quiet. And his expression, you knew he was quiet as well. And there's one thing he said in our change room, and I think it turned the whole squad, and we beat Leicester down in Stradley, was, you haven't got to please me, boys. Listen to the crowd. They were singing, it was chanting, it was a scarlet. You please him, you win the game.
And that's what you did.
And that's what we did.
It's clever, because I know Gareth Jenkins, he comes up in conversation quite a lot as a coach, but also as a motivator, as somebody who understands people. And it's clear that I think Llanelli is within his DNA, isn't it?
It's massive in his
DNA. He's played
DNA,
for the club, he's coached at the club, he knows the community. And in similar respects, Llanelli, you could compare to a point to places, communities like Pontypool, because there's such tight-knit communities. Pontypool is another example, you know.
But Gareth, like I said, he knew what box to tick.
Yeah.
But he was a town person, and he believed in.
But he believed in you.
Believed in you. And where he would do with players, he would challenge every player's mind and ask them, are you good enough? If you're not good enough.
Well, on that, right? Because this podcast is not just about successes and how great people's careers are, this, that, and the other. Throughout your life, and maybe it was at Llanelli Pontypool, or maybe it was in Rugby or whatever, tell me about some of the setbacks. What's some of the hardest stuff you've had to deal with?
The setbacks it's a massive part. It's when I was playing as a kid, it's the colour skin. And where
was that a problem when you were really young? I know it's a different time.
Yeah, a different time now. And it's not gone away 100% now. But it is still about. And I think it's only about in the areas if there's no ethnic hierarchy in that area. So people wouldn't know how to treat it. So far as they're concerned, a name's a name to them. They think it's acceptable, but it's not. But where it's hard for me was when you grow up and you go to different places and you're playing well.
Yeah.
And you've got your energy going across you. Then people will fire stuff at you, trying to take you out of your game. And it was always a famous saying, as the black community always says, is that if they call you a name, you just run at them harder. And you run harder and harder and harder. And that's where the situation is.
And is that how you blocked it out?
That's how you blocked it out. But then you get the gain of it then because you're playing better and then better and better. And people looked at you and gone, you're something different. But it do pull you off a game.
Well, I admire you. Listen, you and 1,001 other sports people at that time and in times gone by have had to deal with that, which is disgusting, quite frankly. But all credit to you and the resilience that you managed to learn and build around you with the support of good people like Jenkins or Bishop or whatever to deal with it and obviously move forward and build a life and a career for yourself.
Yeah. But it's a lot of players.
You've done a great job in doing that, Martyn.
Yeah.
And that's not me patronising. You've done it. You've done it head on. And you've got to be tough. You've got to be tough anyway to play rugby. You've got to be even tougher to go in the front row. Yeah. And you've got to be tough to do that when you've got a load of abuse coming at you as well. So well done. Tell me, most memorable part of your rugby career?
Played for Wales.
Now that happened, your debut was, and you've got to tell me if I'm wrong here, was under Steve Hansen. Was that down in South Africa?
Yeah. Down in South Africa. But I had the call late. I got called into the squad late. I wasn't originally picked in the squad, but I had the call in the squad late. And I went down to the Vale at the time. Which that was the corners. You had to turn up to the Vale and bits and pieces. And it was 2 days later. I was on the plane to South Africa. So it was a short stint at the time.
What did he say to you? Because I read an article, it may not be right, that you're quoted in saying that he said something pretty special about the crowd. There was 60,000 in the crowd, but he said, don't worry about them. It's something else you need to worry about.
Yeah. But his famous thing was the crowd is a big part of everyone's game. And, you pick up the paper next morning and people will go, look at him, he didn't do well, he didn't do this and do that. And it was always a thing with Steve Hansen, block out the crowd. It might be 8 million watching, 80,000 in the crowd. All you got to worry about is this circle.
Brilliant.
This circle makes the players.
Brilliant.
Without this circle, the crowd can make any noise they want. And it was always that in your head. And when I looked at it then, it was all about giving 110% then because he believed in the circle. And when we started in South Africa, I think the first time they went there, they got beat 96-0. And the second year then, we went there on a tour. We went up, we lost about 36-10. We came back. Steve was the answer to changing the first Grand Slam in 2004. Him and Scott Johnson. It was all about skill and believing what they can do. It was all about the game, the power.
Because when he went, Hansen, then he went back, he took over the reins at New Zealand, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was, tell me if is that when Ruddock came in then to win the Grand Slam? But you're saying the groundwork had been done prior to that?
Massive. We used to train with tennis balls.
Wow.
Scott Johnson we just play around with tennis balls all day. It was all about skill level. And if you look at we won the 2004 Grand Slam, we cut everything from behind and we didn't drop any victim balls. The skill level was huge. We used to run around with tennis ball passing. But if you can concentrate on a tennis ball,
small margins, you can
concentrate on a big ball.
Exactly.
And the concentration levels they put us through, they put you there and concentrate. So you wouldn't think of a 5-second split. It'd have to be 15, 10-second split. And that kept you focused. If you're going back in a scrum, you just keep focusing. You just don't give up. You keep going.
Now, I know there was different coaching styles, and Gareth Jenkins wanted you to bulk up, and Steve Hansen wanted you to become leaner and more mobile.
Yeah.
So that, I talk about setbacks and how you cope with it. That must have been a challenge for you managing your weight and two different coaching.
I'll be honest with you, right? It is different in a way because when I looked at Steve Hansen with the All Blacks, they had more flexibility and body concept before we come to Wales.
Yeah.
And the Gareth Jenkins looked at one player and he think he was good. Leroux, he was 23 stone.
I remember him,
He was 23 stone. He could get around the park and he got his weight, but he was so effective what he'd done when he was playing. So Gareth Jenkins was going, that's what you need to be like, Mads. And then in other aspects, I was going into the national camp. The national camp will say, Mads, you need to trim some timber. Because the game at international level, as Steve Hansen says, you got to be in the zone. So if we're hitting phases after phases, you need to be in 10 zones. At the moment, you're only going to be doing 2 because you're going to be too tired.
And I see it. I see it from both sides. You know, playing the domestic game is a lot different from the international game, isn't it? So, but for you as a player, trying to deal with that must have been challenging. I tell you, the other big, I don't know, you tell me. You broke into the Wales team. You made your debut in South Africa. You played your last game, I think it was in Paris. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
And then you missed out on that World Cup, didn't you? In was it 2004?
4 or 5.
How did you feel about that? And where did that leave you? What was it was
one of them. I think I it was one of them stages that I come too early. I wasn't right at the right time. At the start of your career, you start 2003 when I played for Wales. You think you could have a couple of years in the game. And the knockback came then because I dipped a bit of form.
Yeah.
I was out the contract and I was going to sign for Leicester or Bath at the time. And my focus was on that more than the rugby. And I dipped form. And when I started dipping form, I was not the same player a season ago. And I believe then my focus was taken away because I looked at Leicester, and Leicester at the time were a fantastic side.
They were.
And Martyn Johnson and Peter Wheeler spoke to them. And where they came to me and said, the offer on the table, the lifestyle you're playing with, you wouldn't be a number, you'll be a key player to us. Because twice I played against him, I caused havoc against him. They fought against. But my eyes was thinking, do I go here or do I go stay in West Wales? And I was confused what it is, and my head was more or less left and right. Then the game starts to go. And then when my game went, then I wasn't so affected as the same player. But I had no hairs or graces. That was life. I made the decision to stay in West Wales. It's probably the happiest time I had. And my Welsh career didn't go any further from then onwards.
Well, look, Martyn, I could talk to you all day. I really could. But you decided to stay in Wales. You had good people around you in Wales. Gareth Jenkins, for example, one of your closest friends. Neil Boubier, they were down at Llanelli, weren't they? So it was important to have that support mechanism around you when you're dealing with stuff, when stuff is going on. But again, you proved your resilience because rugby, like it will to every rugby player, comes to an end. I think you went on and found a couple of other clubs, but it was around 2002 that you started your business, didn't you?
Yeah.
While you were playing rugby.
Yeah.
So tell us about how that happened then. How did you...
Well, it was...
Why and how?
It was a thing at the time of rugby. It was Gareth Jenkins always says life after rugby.
Yeah.
It was biggest thing for us because we were only training 20, 25 hours a week.
Yeah.
We had so much time on our hands. And at the time then, I bought an apartment in Cardiff Bay.
Yeah.
And then when I bought the apartment in Cardiff Bay, they couldn't clean the apartment. So when I said to them, I got a cleaning company, and that was just like a joke. And he said to me, it's not a problem. If you've got a cleaning company, we'll have a look at you. And
that was it.
Put a quote in. The other thing, they give me one apartment, and the next apartment they give me 3. They were happy. And next one they give me a block, and then they placed the order with me from under Century Wharf. I done from phase 1 to phase 5 now.
So a Cardiff boy, born and bred in Grangetown. I've got that right, haven't I?
Yeah.
And here you are, now you've done your rugby career, or it's coming to an end. And there's an entrepreneurial spirit in there. There's grit, there's determination, there's resilience. There's somebody who's found a way through, basically, dealt with all of the setbacks that you've had, and now you've seen, in pure entrepreneurial spirit, you've seen an opportunity. No, you didn't have a cleaning business, but you were going to create a cleaning business. Yeah. And I think from what I see and what I hear, and that you've turned that into a very successful business. So how does that operate now? It's established and it's operating across the M4 corridor, I think, isn't it?
We're established. We work for a lot of companies. And where I speak to a lot of people, it's because the rugby background. But the rugby background only gets you through the door.
Of course it does. You still got to do a good job.
I still got to go do a job. And for me personally, because I grew up in Grangetown, where life is not so easy.
No, it's
everything
not.
had to be easy work for. And I still go out and do cleaning with the boys and industrial staff. I do it there 3 days a week, 4 days a week.
So how many of you are there these days?
It ranges from different times. We can go from 40, we can go to 60.
Wow.
It all ranges, and we got managers in place and everything else in place, which runs
And I know you do great work in the community as well, because you still do a lot of sponsorship and support the clubs, don't you? I think you're still involved with the boxing club. You support them. I think maybe Bryn Terry Football Club, and maybe I think you're in Bridgend these days.
Yeah.
You're involved with Tondi. So I know your community. You understand community, how important it is. And these clubs, which is the lifeblood, if you like, of regenerating the next talent bed to come through, whether it's rugby, boxing, or whatever, it's important to give these kids a start in life. So well done on you for supporting that. Really, really, really good stuff. Martyn, I could talk to you all day, okay? Congratulations with regards to the business. A fantastic rugby career, 160 appearances for Llanelli. Those 5 Welsh caps, all important to you. Brilliant ambassador, brilliant community ambassador, and thank you very much for being open and honest and coming to speak to us today on No Straight Lines. Thank you, Martyn.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.